When I took my mother on, when she came to live with me, I had to make sure that it was possible to leave her during the day while I went to my full-time job.
You've got to watch from your own perspective, from your own part of your life, that you don't give up everything that you're doing to entirely look after the person who's had the stroke. I think that's quite important because you've got to try and keep your own identity.
Even a person of 95 who's had a stroke, depending on the severity of the stroke, it's okay to leave them. There's no problem with that.
I mean, personally, from my point of view, working has been very important because it's actually been something for me to sort of do for myself, which might sound very odd, but if you like, when I'm at work, I'm in control, and I've not felt in control of this situation at all. So, you know, it's the natural reaction, I think, is that a lot of people would think you'd give up work, but no.
Of course, in the first few weeks after a stroke, you'll need all the support you can get, but you'll be in good hands. In the first few days after a stroke, you'll be put through more tests than you ever knew existed. For example, your blood pressure will be monitored, your blood will be tested, your chest will be x-rayed, your brain will be scanned, and your heart rhythm will be measured. All these tests are just really to identify the type of stroke you've had and the best way to deal with it.
I mean, I think I was lucky in going to the Western General. They were tremendous.
And I do know that I had to start. I had a scored.
On the left side of your brain?
Yes.
As well as doctors and nurses, you'll be meeting physiotherapists, occupational therapists, speech and language therapists. Now, I know it may sound a bit daunting, but they're all there to help you get on the road to recovery.
Obviously, if there's a good regime of rehabilitation, people can get over stroke really quite well.
Indeed, just a few weeks ago, I was having bad trouble with my foot, and I was told, oh, well, you've got to walk on it, and then it'll stop, but it'll hurt more until it does. I thought, great. But they were right, and I did. I just plucked up, gritted my teeth and got on with it. And it's cured itself, that bit anyway.
After a stroke, everyone wants to know the same thing. Will I get better? Well, the honest answer is yes, you will get better. But how much better, no one can tell.
You have to take each day as it comes.
And things are still changing. 11 months after the event, I'm still improving slightly.
One of my physiotherapists, Liz, I remember her saying, that she's seen people making progress after even 5 years. So I'm not halfway there yet. So.
I'm beginning to walk a lot better than I did. In fact, for a long time I wasn't walking at all. I was confined to a wheelchair. We don't use that anymore. And
you sort of climb mountains, then you get to a plateau, then you move up and you get to another plateau. Lots and lots of things where you sort of slow down and then you make a bit more progress.
And after a year, you think, yeah, we've came a long way, Things have changed in that year drastically.
But it's got to come from inside yourself, I think, as the therapist can only do so much.
Recovery from stroke is much faster in the first few weeks and then can slow down after that. Rehabilitation and therapies involved can help, as well as your own determination to be more independent. Now, it's important that the carers understand that and resist the temptation not to do everything for you. The golden rule for carers is never do for the person who's had the stroke what they can do for themselves. For carers, these early days are a time of adaptation, and the first stage is to come to terms with their new role.
It was quite strange at first because I wanted to help as much as I could, but I had to hold back because I knew that I should let her do as much as she was able to.
I also did a course to help Neil. I did a 6-week course on speech, his difficulty in speech, just exactly what his difficulties were, with a speech therapist that helped me to help Neil. Because the worst thing you do is, and you do it unconsciously, is you step in before he has a chance to answer properly. Then he loses the thread of what he's been trying to say to you, and you have to start from scratch again. So to learn not to do that is quite difficult, and even yet I still do it unconsciously.
You've really got to stand back and let them try and do things for themselves, because I think they want to get back into a normal way of life, and you really got to stand back and do it.
But perhaps the most important new beginning is to learn to accept what's happened to you. Of course you're going to feel angry and frustrated, but you're entering a new phase in your life, and you'll begin to deal with it.
And I think through time you accept that you're not as able as you were before the stroke, but that the future does hold hope.
Think positive. Things are never as bad as they seem. It takes a while to realise that, but you do eventually.
I think you just have to, it's just a matter of making up your mind you're going to do something and just do it. If you can't do it the first day or the second day, you do it the third day, you know, just get on and do it.
At whatever age you are, you can make progress. You do not have to be the same as you are on the day you have your stroke.
Don't give up.
No, don't give up.
Yes.
Keep trying. Yeah.
We've seen and heard how stroke families are learning to cope with the changes in their lives. But one last point to end on. Never be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's from doctors and nurses, professionals like social workers and care managers, or support groups for stroke folk and carers. You are not alone, so make the most of those around you.